Well, it's a beautiful sunny day out here today. Got the bike going again. And a few things on my mind. One is our reaction to the coronavirus epidemic. And of course, it's a catastrophe in some ways, but in other ways, it shows how people can cooperate, can swiftly organize actions to deal with it. And other people I've seen have commented, it's like, well, why can't we do this about climate change? Well, it's, doesn't seem as immediate. Something I've noticed about the coronavirus thing is that the steps that people are taking, one, for example, working from home or remote working, that's a suggestion I had a long time ago as a way to do less driving. Of course, burn less fossil fuels and all that. Uh-oh. There's your sewage truck. And so that's something that's happening. So a lot of systems are getting shut down. Ones that we felt that we had to cling to 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all the time. Now we find in under threat like this, it's like we can actually stop these things because there's an emergency. And I don't know if you've ever seen during World War II, that was another emergency. Food supplies, resources, things like that. And there used to be signs by the side of the road that would say, is this trip really necessary? And of course, here we are with the looming climate catastrophe, and you never see anything like that. Is this trip really necessary? Why? Because it would be bad for business, bad for gas stations, bad for everything. But anyway, with the coronavirus happening, things that we thought we couldn't do are getting done quite easily. So work from home, drive less, things like that. Anyway, that's one thing. And the other thing is thinking about how much resources. There's this guy, Elon Musk, who has a space program. They have a group called the Mars Society, where they are, apparently dead set on colonizing Mars. So the contest they're running is how to design a colony on Mars for 1 million people. Oh, that's so great. Science fiction and wonderful future, things like that, In a way, it reminds me of the sort of archetypal story where the little 3-year-old has an argument with mommy and daddy, and he wants to run away, and he goes out in the backyard in a little tent or something, or a cardboard box, falls asleep, and then in the middle of the night the parents go and carry him inside and he's asleep, because the kid doesn't realize what he's relying on. And as far as our bodies being organisms that are linked to the earth, that are part of the earth's ecosystem, in ways that, some ways we can't even understand. The gravity, of course, our bodies have evolved in perfect balance with that. Magnetism, certain frequencies of light, all those things, tremendous complexity. On Mars, what's that like? Well, the atmosphere, the planet is so small and has such low gravity, it can't maintain an atmosphere. So they theorize there was more atmosphere there at one time, but it basically just drifts off into space. So the atmosphere is, get this, 1/100th the density of Earth's. 1/100th. So that basically means if you went outside and your breathing apparatus stopped working or something like that, or you sprung a leak in your building in the middle of the night, you'd be dead. Not only that, the gravity being far less, you could adjust to that, but after a few generations you'd never be able to come back to Earth. Or even after a few years you'd never be able to come back to Earth. You'd die, you'd be crushed. Your heart would stop. So that's a problem. What else? I think the radiation there, unshielded solar radiation, is something like 500 times what we have here. So while you're living in your little, house or whatever it is you're in, it's going to have to be shielded from all that radiation. So, an analogy might be pond water. Pond water is alive, it's organic, it uses sunlight, gravity, all the things I mentioned. Oh hey. And if you put the pond water in a jar and shot it out into space, it's like, well, or buried it or something, it could survive for, a day, a week, maybe longer, but it's going to die. It's going to die because the things it relies on are not there. So with, oh boy, a snake. Hold on. What kind of snake we got here? Okay, buddy? I shouldn't touch you. Did you get hurt? I hope not. Here, let's put you back in the woods there. There you go. The way it coiled up, it might have been a copperhead or something. Not really sure. But anyway, getting back to the Mars thing, it's like, science fiction and fantasy and wanting to explore new frontiers, the American frontier, people going out into the West and all that stuff. It's like, yeah, that's got a sense of adventure to it, but it's not going to Mars. We got 1/100th of the friggin' atmosphere, and radiation and no gravity and all this other stuff. I just want to know, it's like, where are the 1 million people that are going to sign up for something like that? So anyway, I think it's childish that someone with those resources, Elon Musk or whomever, would think that this is a practical, sensible thing to do. Those resources could be used to make the Earth a better place, not to run away into dreamland, basically. So anyway, there are a lot of people that are real into this, and scientifically and all the details of how it would be done. It's like, yeah, it's kind of interesting, but I wouldn't want to do it. And I imagine people that went there, after a while, they'd be wanting to come right back, come back to Earth. So in a nutshell, I think the Earth is, it's a part of us. So it's like you could make do without, your spleen and your kidneys or something and have a machine to run that stuff. But it would get pretty old after a while. So anyway, the only thing I would add to that is that when it comes to solutions for our problems, which are myriad, what's required is imagination. Now, take an idea like working from home. It's like, well, I'm just a regular schmo. I came up with that years ago. Now it's actually happening. So as a creative artist, just like I use my imagination all the time. I'm not necessarily tied to any creed or, you know, design, Bible, or anything like that. So yeah, we need ideas. Going to Mars is an idea. What about all the people you left on Earth, you know? So we have problems right here that need our immediate attention, and they need our imagination. So anyway, that's something to work on. Here's another one. It's mind its own business. I don't know what kind it is. Does it know what kind it is? Magnificent.